What if everything we think we know about intelligence in the universe is just a tiny fragment of a much larger story? Picture this: long before humans walked the earth, before our cities glittered under the night sky, could there have been civilizations so advanced they mastered secrets we're only beginning to unravel? The idea that we might not be the universe's first intelligent life isn't just science fiction, it's a tantalizing possibility that challenges our very place in the cosmos. Across billions of years, in the vast silence between stars, the echoes of ancient minds might still linger, waiting to be discovered. Think about the scale of time itself. Our planet is 4.5 billion years old, but the universe has existed for nearly 14 billion. That's an unimaginable gap, enough for countless civilizations to rise, flourish, and vanish without a trace. What if some of them left clues behind, from mysterious structures in distant galaxies to enigmatic signals that defy explanation? The evidence, or lack of it, fuels endless speculation. Could the answers lie hidden in plain sight, buried in the fabric of space, or encoded in the very laws of physics? The more we learn, the more we realize how little we truly know. This journey isn't just about hunting for alien artifacts or decoding cosmic anomalies. It's about rewriting the story of intelligence itself. Over the next 30 theories, we'll explore mind-bending possibilities, from ancient AI lurking in the asteroid belt to civilizations that transcended physical form, leaving behind only whispers in the quantum void. Some theories will sound like pure fantasy, others might send chills down your spine, but each one forces us to question what it means to be first, to be intelligent, or even to exist at all. So buckle up. By the time we're done, the universe might feel a lot stranger and far more mysterious than you ever imagined. What if Earth's earliest intelligence didn't belong to us at all? Hidden in layers of rock older than dinosaurs, older even than multicellular life as we know it, lie cryptic clues that have scientists whispering about a lost chapter in our planet's story, one where intelligence may have flourished and faded long before humans ever appeared. The Precambrian era, stretching from Earth's formation until around 540 million years ago, is often dismissed as a silent prelude to complex life. But what if we've been reading the rocks all wrong? Take the Ediacaran biota, for example. These bizarre, soft-bodied organisms dominated the oceans roughly 600 million years ago, leaving behind faint impressions in ancient seabeds that look less like primitive life and more like something else. Some resemble fractal patterns or intricate structures with no clear biological parallel. Could they have been experiments in organic engineering by a civilization we can't even recognize? Or consider the so-called billion-year-old nuclear reactor in Gabon, a natural uranium deposit where isotopic ratios suggest sustained fission reactions occurred nearly 2 billion years ago. While mainstream science attributes this to rare geological conditions, outliers speculate, what if it wasn't natural at all? Then there's the sheer scale of deep time to contend with. The Precambrian covers 85% of Earth's history, ample opportunity for an entire technological species to emerge, reshape the planet, and vanish without leaving obvious traces. Imagine a civilization that mastered bioengineering instead of metallurgy, building with genetically tailored organisms rather than steel. Their cities wouldn't leave ruins, they'd decay like compost, blending seamlessly back into the earth. Even their tools might have been biodegradable, dissolving into the fossil record as unremarkable carbon deposits. Of course, the biggest hurdle isn't just finding evidence, it's recognizing it. We're trained to search for familiar signatures of technology, machinery, writing, synthetic materials, but a Precambrian intelligence might have operated on principles so alien, their artifacts could be staring us in the face disguised as natural formations. That banded iron layer in your geology textbook, what if it's not just ancient oxygen interacting with seawater, but the fossilized remains of some vast photosynthetic computing network? The unsettling truth is this: If an ancient civilization didn't want to be remembered, or if their very existence followed rules we can't comprehend, we might never know they were here at all. This theory forces us to confront a humbling possibility that intelligence isn't a pinnacle but a phase, not humanity's birthright, but something that may have flickered in and out of existence countless times in Earth's lonely past. And if it happened here, where else might it have risen and fallen in the darkness? But what if Earth's lost civilizations weren't just ancient? What if they were industrial? That's the spine-tingling premise of the Silurian Hypothesis, a radical idea that suggests our planet may have already endured the rise and fall of technological societies millions, even hundreds of millions of years before humans. Named whimsically after the reptilian species from Doctor Who, this isn't science fiction, it's a serious scientific thought experiment that forces us to ask, how would we even know if an advanced civilization lived and died in deep time? Start with the eerie parallels between our era and distant geological periods. Right now, human activity is leaving unmistakable markers in Earth's strata. Radioactive isotopes from nuclear tests, microplastics lodged in sediment, even a spike in atmospheric carbon dioxide that'll linger for millennia. Now flip the script. 56 million years ago, the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum saw global temperatures skyrocket and carbon levels surge in ways eerily similar to modern climate change. Mainstream science blames volcanic activity, but could it have been something else? Then there's the great fossil gap. The further back we look, the less survives. Bone and steel rust, concrete crumbles. After just 10 million years, nearly every physical trace of our cities would vanish, leaving only odd chemical signatures and strangely concentrated metals. Now imagine digging through rocks 300 million years old. What faint fingerprints might we miss? Some researchers point to anomalies like the Mississippi Valley's lead deposits, which mirror the pollution patterns of ancient Roman smelting. Others highlight mysterious layers of nano-sized carbon spheres in Permian-era sediments, resembling the byproducts of high-temperature combustion. Could these be industrial relics or just geological quirks we've misunderstood? The Silurian Hypothesis doesn't claim proof, it's a challenge to our assumptions. If a civilization lasted only a few centuries like ours so far, their entire existence would be a geological blink. They might have burned biofuels instead of fossil fuels, leaving no plastic or radioactive waste. Their greatest monuments could have been grown, not built, dissolving like coral reefs into indecipherable strata. Even their extinction might have been silent, a runaway climate crisis, a self-inflicted collapse, leaving behind only whispers in isotopic ratios and odd gaps in the fossil record. Here's the unsettling twist: we might be searching for ourselves. Every technique we'd used to spot an ancient civilization, chemical traces, sediment layers, atmospheric changes, is tailored to find societies that look like ours. But what if they were nothing like us, a species that mastered fusion instead of coal, or one that built with self-replicating nanotech, would leave entirely different ghosts in the rock? The Silurian Hypothesis isn't just about finding lost civilizations, it's about realizing how fragile our own legacy might be. Long after our skyscrapers have turned to dust, will some future species stare at a layer of uranium-depleted shale and wonder, was this nature or were we here? Now let's stretch our imagination beyond Earth entirely, because what if the spark of intelligence didn't even begin here? Picture a comet, a frozen traveler from the depths of space, hurtling through the void for billions of years. Locked within its icy core, microscopic passengers lie dormant, not just the building blocks of life, but perhaps the seeds of something far more complex. This is Panspermia, the radical idea that life, or even intelligence itself, might have hitched a ride across the cosmos long before Earth was ready to receive it. Consider the raw ingredients. Meteorites like the Murchison specimen, which crashed into Australia in 1969, contain amino acids, the molecules that form proteins essential for life as we know it. These cosmic delivery trucks didn't just bring rocks, they carried the very alphabet of biology. But what if some arrived with more than just letters? What if they carried entire sentences or even libraries? Scientists have found structures in Martian meteorites resembling fossilized microbes, though debate still rages. If simple life can survive the brutal journey through space, shielded inside asteroids, why not something more advanced? Then there's the timing. Earth was bombarded by comets during the late heavy bombardment over 4 billion years ago, a period so violent it reshaped the young planet's surface. Yet somehow, life emerged almost immediately afterward, as if it arrived just in time. Could that be coincidence or evidence of a carefully timed cosmic sowing? Some theorists propose that early microbial life might have been purposely engineered to withstand the harshness of space, designed to awaken upon reaching a habitable world. Imagine an ancient civilization, long extinct, scattering biological arcs like interstellar farmers, ensuring their legacy would outlive their own star's death. The implications are staggering. If intelligence didn't originate on Earth, its roots could stretch back unimaginably farther, perhaps to a world that orbited a star now reduced to cold ashes. We might be the descendants of a project older than our solar system, carrying forward a blueprint written in another galaxy. And if that's true, the universe could be teeming with life sharing the same cosmic ancestry, all subtly linked by threads of DNA older than time itself. Here's the haunting question. If we find life elsewhere and it shares our biological code, how will we ever know if it evolved separately, or if we're all branches of the same ancient intentional tree? Panspermia doesn't just challenge where life began, it forces us to wonder whether intelligence was always meant to be. Mars, our rust-colored neighbor, hanging in the sky like a silent witness to Earth's infancy. What if its barren surface wasn't always so lifeless? Beneath the dust storms and frozen polar caps, there are traces of a world that might have once resembled our own. Rivers that carved valleys billions of years ago, lakes that shimmered under a thicker atmosphere, even the faint possibility of microbial life. But what if Mars hosted something far more advanced? The idea of an ancient Martian civilization isn't just wild speculation. It's rooted in tantalizing anomalies that scientists still struggle to explain. Take the infamous face on Mars. First spotted in 1976 by NASA, a Viking orbiter, this mile-long formation in the Cydonia region looked eerily like a carved humanoid face staring skyward. While later high-resolution images revealed it as a natural mesa, the initial discovery ignited imaginations. Could it have been a monument weathered by eons of cosmic winds, or just a trick of light and shadow? Nearby, other geometric formations, pyramid-like structures, and what appear to be crumbling grid patterns fuel theories of a lost city. Skeptics dismiss them as pareidolia, our brains imposing order on random geology. But if we found similar shapes on Earth, wouldn't we at least consider the possibility of intelligent design? Then there's the water. Mars once had vast oceans with shorelines still visible today. Recent rovers have detected organic molecules and seasonal methane spikes, hints that life, at some point, might have gained a foothold. But water doesn't just mean microbes, it means resources. Resources a civilization could have used to thrive. Some researchers point to the unexplained linear grooves along Martian cliffs resembling strip mines. Others highlight odd spherical concretions littering the surface, nicknamed blueberries, which share uncanny similarities to industrial byproducts. And let's not forget the recurring slope linear, dark streaks that hint at liquid water flowing today, or perhaps something more engineered beneath the soil. This leads to the most provocative idea, a Martian exodus. If Mars once teemed with life, only to lose its atmosphere and water over millennia, could its inhabitants have seen the end coming? Imagine a desperate race developing spacefaring technology not for exploration but survival. Earth, young and lush, would have been the obvious refuge. Ancient astronaut theories suggest myths of gods descending from the heavens like the Sumerian Anunnaki or the Egyptian Osiris might be garbled memories of such an arrival. Even our biology raises questions. Why do humans struggle so much with low gravity, as if our bodies evolved for a world with stronger pull? Could Mars' lighter gravity have been their native environment, with Earth's heft slowly altering their physiology over generations? Here's the haunting twist. If Martians did flee to Earth, their most enduring legacy might not be ruins or artifacts, but us. Some scientists speculate that Panspermia could have worked both ways. Microbes hitching rides on meteorites between the planets, weaving Martian DNA into Earth's earliest life. It's a dizzying thought. Our ancestors might not have been born under this sun at all, but under a dimmer, redder one. And if that's true, then every time we gaze at Mars, we're not just looking at a planet, we're staring into a mirror, wondering if we're the answer to its oldest, most silent question. Venus today is a hellscape, a toxic inferno where lead melts on the surface and clouds of sulfuric acid choke the sky. But rewind just 700 million years, and this same planet might have been a paradise. Scientists now believe Venus could have had shallow oceans, temperate climates, even continents, a twin to early Earth in every way that mattered. What if in that vanished Eden, intelligence didn't just flicker but flourished? The clues are buried in the planet's tragic transformation. Venus's atmosphere holds a bizarre anomaly. Deuterium, a heavy isotope of hydrogen, is over 100 times more abundant than on Earth. One explanation, a catastrophic loss of water enough to cover the entire planet in a global ocean 3 meters deep. Where did it all go? The prevailing theory blames a runaway greenhouse effect, but there's a chilling alternative. What if Venus didn't just lose its water, it was used? Picture a civilization reaching its industrial peak just as their world began to change. Unlike Earth's slow climate shifts, Venus's tipping point would have been swift, perhaps mere centuries from balmy shores to boiling death. Desperate to survive, they might have turned their oceans into fuel, splitting water for hydrogen to power gargantuan atmospheric scrubbers or orbital sunshades. Failed geoengineering could explain the deuterium spike. The lighter hydrogen atoms escaped into space, leaving the heavier deuterium behind as a grim receipt for their efforts. Then there's the strange case of Venus's surface. Radar maps reveal continent-like highlands with uncanny geometric patterns, notably the tesserae, fractured plateaus stretching for thousands of kilometers in jagged, grid-like formations. Geologists call them natural tectonic relics, but outliers note their resemblance to sprawling, ruined cityscapes. Even more provocative are the periodic flashes of ultraviolet light detected in Venus's clouds. Some scientists argue they're electrostatic discharges, while others whisper about energy harvesting arrays still functioning in the toxic haze, automated systems outlasting their creators by eons. The most haunting possibility isn't just that Venusians existed, it's that they saw their doom coming and fought back. Imagine a society desperately launching arcs into space, some reaching Earth in our prehistory. Ancient Sumerian texts describe the Anunnaki arriving from a fiery world. The Mayan Venus calendar tracks cycles with eerie precision. Could these be half-remembered encounters with refugees? Or perhaps their legacy is written in our genes. Some theorists propose that extremophile microbes in Venus's upper clouds share genetic markers with earthly life, suggesting a last-ditch panspermia effort. Venus challenges our very definition of a habitable world. If intelligence arose there only to be swallowed by its own atmosphere, what does that mean for us? Their story, if it happened, is the universe's darkest cautionary tale, a reminder that civilizations don't just vanish by chance. Sometimes they engineer their own endings. And if the tesserae really are ruins, they're not just monuments to the dead, they're mirrors. the moon, our closest celestial companion, hanging in the night sky like a silent sentinel. But what if it wasn't always there? What if, instead of a natural satellite, the moon is something far more extraordinary, an artificial construct placed in orbit by an ancient civilization with technology beyond our comprehension? This isn't just wild speculation, it's a theory rooted in a series of bizarre anomalies that scientists still struggle to explain. Start with its origin. The prevailing giant impact hypothesis claims the moon formed when a Mars-sized object collided with early Earth, blasting debris into orbit that coalesced into our satellite. But here's the problem. The moon's composition is nearly identical to Earth's mantle, yet it lacks volatile elements like water and sodium that should have been present. Even stranger, its density is lower than Earth's, as if its core is hollow or partially empty. How could a natural collision create such a precise, lightweight replica of our planet's outer layers while leaving behind none of the expected remnants? Then there's the orbit, mathematically improbable. The moon is exactly 400 times smaller than the sun, but also 400 times closer, creating the perfect conditions for total solar eclipses. This cosmic coincidence has baffled astronomers for centuries. Even more puzzling, the moon's rotation is perfectly synchronized with its orbit, always showing us the same face. Natural satellites rarely achieve such precise tidal locking without slight wobbles or variations. It's almost as if the moon were designed to behave this way. Surface anomalies deepen the mystery. Apollo missions brought back lunar rocks with metals like pure titanium and brass materials that don't form naturally in such concentrations. Some areas of the moon's crust are far harder than they should be, resisting drills that would easily penetrate terrestrial rock. And let's not forget the transient lunar phenomena, flashes of light, colored glows, and even moving shadows reported for centuries, as if something beneath the surface occasionally stirs to life. The most radical proposal, the moon could be a hollowed-out vessel, a colossal ark or observatory parked in orbit by a long-vanished civilization. Some researchers point to acoustic experiments during Apollo missions that suggested the moon rings like a bell when struck, vibrating for far longer than a solid object should. Others highlight the moon's role in stabilizing Earth's tilt, making complex life possible. Was that deliberate? Could the moon be the ultimate terraforming tool, placed here to nurture intelligence on our planet? Of course, skeptics argue these are just quirks of geology and chance, but the sheer number of coincidences raises an unsettling question. If we found another moon in the cosmos with these exact traits, would we still dismiss the possibility of design? The moon's secrets may be hidden in plain sight, not in its craters or dust, but in the eerie perfection of its existence. If it is artificial, then whoever put it there didn't just alter our sky, they may have shaped the very destiny of life on Earth. Earth isn't just a rock teeming with life, it might be alive in ways we're only beginning to grasp. The Gaia hypothesis, first proposed by chemist James Lovelock in the 1970s, suggests our planet functions like a single, self-regulating organism, maintaining conditions perfect for life not by chance but through vast, interconnected systems behaving almost intelligently. But what if this planetary-scale awareness isn't just a metaphor? What if Earth's intelligence predates humanity by billions of years, operating on a timescale so slow we've never recognized it as thought? Take the planet's ancient balancing acts. Over eons, Earth has adjusted its atmosphere, temperature, and even ocean chemistry to sustain life against cosmic odds. When volcanic eruptions flooded the air with carbon dioxide, algae bloomed to absorb it, dying in such numbers they sank to the seafloor, locking away the excess carbon as limestone. When oxygen levels first spiked, triggering ice ages, weathering rates mysteriously accelerated to draw down greenhouse gases and stabilize the climate. These aren't random fluctuations, they're feedback loops so precise they resemble decision-making. If a single-celled organism can solve mazes or slime molds, can navigate complex terrain, why couldn't a biosphere learn to optimize itself? Some scientists point to Earth's most enigmatic structures as evidence of deeper coordination. The vast mycorrhizal networks connecting trees, dubbed the Wood Wide Web, allow forests to share nutrients and warnings via chemical signals, functioning like a biological internet. Ocean currents distribute heat and nutrients with the efficiency of a planetary circulatory system. Even the planet's magnetic field, generated by molten iron swirling in the core, acts like a protective brain shielding life from solar storms. Could these systems be more than just physics? Could they be the slow, deliberate actions of a consciousness so vast it thinks in geological time? The implications rewrite our place in history. If Earth's intelligence emerged long before humans, we might not be the apex of evolution. We could be latecomers to an ancient conversation. Indigenous cultures have long spoken of the land as sentient, from the Aboriginal concept of country to the Andean Pachamama. Modern science dismisses these as myth, but what if they're glimpses of a truth we're only now quantifying? After all, a planet that regulates its salt levels, maintains nitrogen cycles, and even shuffles tectonic plates to recycle nutrients doesn't just host life, it behaves like life itself. Here's the haunting question: if Earth is intelligent, does it notice us? As we alter the climate at unprecedented speeds, could the planet's immune response already be kicking in? Rising sea levels, wildfires, and storms acting not as chaos but as corrective measures. The Gaia hypothesis forces us to confront a humbling possibility. That intelligence isn't something we brought to this world, but something we awakened within it. And if that's true, our survival may depend less on dominating nature and more on learning to listen. Imagine a civilization so advanced they didn't just build cities, they built around stars. The concept of a Dyson sphere, first proposed by physicist Freeman Dyson in 1960, suggests that an intelligent species might eventually outgrow planetary energy sources and construct a gigantic megastructure to capture every photon radiating from their sun. Picture a vast swarm of solar panels, mirrors, or even a solid shell enveloping a star, turning it into a cosmic power plant. If such structures exist, they'd redefine our understanding of engineering, and the universe might already be showing us where to look. Take Tabby's star, officially known as KIC 8462852. Located 1,400 light-years away, this flickering star baffled astronomers when the Kepler Space Telescope observed its light dipping by up to 22%, far more than any planet could explain. Some dimming patterns lasted days, others months, with no clear rhythm. Natural explanations like dust clouds or comet swarms struggled to account for the irregularity. But what if that dimming wasn't natural at all? What if it's the shadow of something being built, a partial Dyson swarm under construction, its uneven arrays periodically blocking starlight as they orbit? The search for Dyson spheres isn't just science fiction. Scientists scan the infrared spectrum for telltale heat signatures. A megastructure absorbing visible light would re-emit waste energy as infrared radiation. Several candidates already stand out. EPIC 246593176, for instance, emits 95% of its light in infrared, an anomaly with no known stellar explanation. Then there's the bizarre case of Gaia 17b/pp, a star that appears to be moving at impossible speeds. Could its trajectory be influenced by the gravitational tug of an artificial shell? These theories force us to rethink the limits of engineering. A Type 2 civilization on the Kardashev scale, one capable of harnessing a star's total energy, would operate on timelines and scales almost incomprehensible to us. Construction might take millennia, with autonomous machines mining asteroids for materials. The finished structure could resemble a loose constellation of habitats and power collectors rather than a solid shell, each component drifting in precise harmony to avoid collisions. But here's the catch: if Dyson spheres exist, their builders might not even be biological. Super-intelligent AI could outlive its creators, maintaining these megastructures long after the species that designed them went extinct. The universe could be littered with silent, automated power grids humming around dead stars, their purpose forgotten. The most haunting possibility: we might be seeing Dyson spheres all wrong. Instead of complete constructs, we could be spotting the remnants, failed projects, or abandoned construction zones. Tabby's star's erratic dimming might not be evidence of success, but of catastrophe. Imagine a civilization that started building only to collapse from war, resource depletion, or a runaway AI. Their half-finished Dyson swarm would still orbit, casting broken shadows across the galaxy like tombstones. As we keep searching, one thing becomes clear: the absence of obvious Dyson spheres doesn't mean they're not out there. It might mean we're not yet clever enough to recognize them, or that we're looking at them all wrong. Maybe the megastructures of advanced civilizations don't look like science fiction at all. Maybe they look like natural phenomena until you know how to read the signs. Long before modern science pondered genetic engineering, ancient texts might have held the blueprint for humanity itself. The Sumerian tablets speak of the Anunnaki, gods who descended from the heavens to shape mankind from clay and divine essence. But what if these stories weren't mythology at all? What if they were fragmented memories of an extraterrestrial intervention, echoing across cultures from Mesopotamia to the Indus Valley? The Vedic Anunnaki theory weaves together two of humanity's oldest traditions, suggesting a startling connection between Sumerian accounts and India's ancient Vedas. Start with the Sumerian king list, a clay tablet detailing rulers who reigned for tens of thousands of years before the Great Flood. These weren't ordinary monarchs. They were described as divine beings with advanced knowledge descending from the stars. The Anunnaki, according to cuneiform texts, genetically altered early hominids to create a workforce, splicing their own DNA with earthly creatures. Modern proponents like Zachariah Sitchin famously interpreted this as alien geneticists manipulating our evolution, pointing to the sudden leap in human cognition around 70,000 years ago. But the real twist lies in parallels with Vedic scriptures. The Rig Veda, composed over 3,000 years ago, describes the Devas and Asuras, celestial beings locked in eternal conflict, wielding weapons of unimaginable power. Some passages eerily mirror Sumerian tales: flying vehicles called Vimanas, cities destroyed by celestial fire, even references to beings who descended to rule. The Puranas go further, speaking of Manu, the first man, crafted by divine hands to survive a global deluge strikingly similar to the Sumerian flood myth where the Anunnaki saved Ziusudra, Noah's precursor. Could these shared motifs be coincidental or evidence of a pan-Asian memory of extraterrestrial visitors? Critics argue these connections rely on selective readings. Linguists note that Sumerian and Sanskrit share no direct lineage, making direct cultural transmission unlikely. Archaeologists highlight the lack of physical evidence: no alien artifacts, no undisputed genetic anomalies in ancient human remains. Yet outliers counter that absence of proof isn't proof of absence, especially across millennia of cataclysms and wars. Recent discoveries add fuel to the debate. The unearthing of Harappan cities in the Indus Valley revealed advanced urban planning contemporary with Sumer, yet their script remains undeciphered. What if it holds answers we're not yet equipped to understand? The most provocative interpretation suggests a lost global civilization, or perhaps a cosmic one, that seeded these stories across continents. Imagine Anunnaki surveyors landing in Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley, guiding both cultures with shared technology and myths that diverged over centuries. The Vedic Amachitrakatha depicts gods with blue skin and elongated heads, while Sumerian art shows towering figures in fish-like suits. Both could be cultural renditions of the same visitors in environment suits or bioluminescent bioarmor. Even the Hindu concept of yugas, cyclical ages of humanity, aligns with the Anunnaki's purported periodic returns to Earth. Here's the dilemma. If these texts are metaphorical, they reveal profound human creativity. But if they're literal, they rewrite our origin story. The Vedic Anunnaki theory forces us to confront an uncomfortable possibility, that our ancestors might have known truths we've since buried under the weight of time. And if that's the case, the real question isn't whether the gods walked among us, but whether they left traces in our blood, our myths, and the very stars we now strive to reach. Buried in the icy rings of Saturn or drifting through the asteroid belt, remnants of civilizations older than Earth itself could be hiding in plain sight. The galactic archaeology theory suggests that our solar system might be littered with the ruins of species who rose and fell before humanity even existed, and we're finally developing the tools to uncover them. Unlike traditional SETI, which listens for radio signals, this hunt focuses on technosignatures, physical evidence of alien technology, from discarded probes to derelict megastructures. And some researchers believe we've already stumbled onto clues without realizing it. Take Oumuamua, the first known interstellar visitor. This cigar-shaped object tumbled past Earth in 2017, moving too fast to be a comet yet lacking the telltale gas tail of one. Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb famously proposed it could be artificial, a light sail or probe from another civilization. Critics dismissed it as a weirdly shaped rock, but the debate highlights a key problem. How do we distinguish natural oddities from engineered ones? The same question applies to objects closer to home. Mars's moon Phobos, with its unnaturally low density and strange orbital decay, has been theorized to be a hollow artifact, perhaps a repurposed spacecraft or ancient relay station. Even Earth's orbit might hold relics. The tiny object 1991 VG, discovered by astronomer James Scotty, followed an orbit so peculiar that some speculated it could be a spent rocket booster from another world. The search extends beyond objects to patterns. Astronomers scanning distant star systems for Dyson swarms now also look for Fermi bubbles, gaps in the dust, and debris around young stars where planets should form but don't. Could these voids be the aftermath of planet-scale mining operations? Or consider the missing baryon problem. Galaxies seem to contain less visible matter than predicted. One fringe explanation: the matter's been converted into something we can't see, like Matryoshka brains, hypothetical supercomputers built around stars that use their energy for processing. If a civilization wrapped entire stars in computational layers, the structures would absorb light, rendering them nearly invisible except as gravitational anomalies. But the most tantalizing artifacts might be hiding in our own backyard. The lunar surface, undisturbed by weather or tectonics, could preserve relics for billions of years. Apollo astronauts reported glass-like spherules in the soil. Some theorize they're industrial byproducts from an ancient lunar base. Even Earth's oceans might conceal crashed probes or monitoring stations, their metallic alloys corroded beyond recognition but still detectable as odd magnetic disturbances. The challenge isn't just finding these objects, it's recognizing them. An alien artifact might not look like a sleek starship. It could resemble a strangely textured asteroid, a patch of unnaturally pure metals, or even a self-replicating nanobot swarm disguised as cosmic dust. This theory forces us to rethink archaeology itself. If a civilization thrived 100 million years ago, their ruins wouldn't resemble ours. They might not even be made of matter as we know it. Advanced beings could have engineered structures from dark matter, quantum fields, or spacetime itself, leaving traces detectable only through gravitational ripples or quantum noise. The ultimate irony: the most obvious artifacts might be invisible to us, not because they're hidden, but because we lack the conceptual framework to see them. So the next time you hear about a peculiar meteorite or an oddly geometric crater, remember, the cosmos doesn't just hold the future of discovery. it might also guard the ghosts of intelligences so ancient their very existence rewrites what it means to be first. What if everything around us, the stars, the planets, even our own thoughts, were nothing more than lines of code in an unfathomably advanced simulation? This is the spine-tingling premise of the holographic ancestors theory, which suggests our universe might be the creation of a long-vanished intelligence, a cosmic project so vast we're merely characters in its grand design. The idea isn't just science fiction, it's a serious hypothesis debated by philosophers and physicists alike, one that forces us to question the very fabric of reality. Start with the science. Quantum mechanics already reveals a universe far stranger than we once imagined, a place where particles exist in multiple states until observed, where entanglement defies distance, and where the very act of measurement seems to shape reality. Some researchers argue these quirks aren't bugs of nature, they're features of a simulated environment. Think of it like a video game rendering graphics only when a player looks, except here the player is consciousness itself. The holographic principle, born from black hole physics, takes this further. It proposes that our three-dimensional universe might be a projection from a two-dimensional surface, like a cosmic illusion painted on the edge of existence. If true, this could explain why information seems fundamentally pixelated at the smallest scales, Planck lengths, acting like the resolution limit of reality's underlying code. But the most compelling argument comes from cosmology. Our universe's laws appear suspiciously fine-tuned for life. Change gravity by a fraction, tweak the strength of electromagnetism even slightly, and stars, planets, and chemistry itself would collapse. To some, this perfection suggests intentional tuning, like a programmer adjusting parameters to allow complex structures to emerge. Even the speed of light, the universe's ultimate speed limit, could be interpreted as a processing constraint, preventing the simulation from overloading. Yet critics push back fiercely. They argue a civilization capable of such a simulation would require incomprehensible energy, perhaps more than the universe itself contains. Others point out that if simulations are possible, there should be vastly more simulated realities than base realities, making it statistically likely we're in one. But this logic loops endlessly. Who's to say their universe isn't also simulated? The debate often circles back to philosophy. 17th century thinker René Descartes pondered an evil demon deceiving our senses, while modern skeptics ask, if a simulation is indistinguishable from reality, does the distinction even matter? Here's where the theory takes a darker turn. If our creators were real, what happened to them? Did they abandon their experiment, leaving it running like an old server in a forgotten basement, or worse, did they die out, their simulation now a ghostly afterimage of a civilization that no longer exists? Some theorists propose we're living in their digital fossils, a universe-sized museum where their descendants might one day stumble upon us. The holographic ancestors theory doesn't just challenge what we know, it redefines what it means to exist. If we're in a simulation, our search for extraterrestrial intelligence isn't just about finding aliens, it's about uncovering the architects of our own reality. And if we ever crack the code, the greatest discovery wouldn't be that the universe is artificial, it would be realizing we're not alone in the truest sense. The programmers, whoever they were, are still out there, watching, or perhaps long gone, leaving us to whisper into the void of a cosmos that might just be someone else's long-abandoned masterpiece. We think of civilizations as built from atoms, rocks, metals, flesh. But what if the most advanced life in the cosmos isn't made of matter at all? Dark matter, that mysterious substance outweighing visible stuff 5-to-1, could be hiding more than gravitational glue. It might harbor intelligences so alien, they don't just live in the shadows, they are the shadows. Start with what we know, or rather, what we don't. Dark matter doesn't absorb, reflect, or emit light. It barely interacts with normal matter except through gravity, drifting through walls, planets, even you right now like ghosts. To most scientists, it's just an invisible scaffold holding galaxies together. But what if some fraction of it is structured not just random particles but complex arrangements? Imagine dark matter atoms, molecules, even cells, forged under physics we've yet to discover. A being made of such stuff wouldn't need stars for energy. It might draw power from the expansion of space itself or tap into dark energy's repulsive force. Interactions with our world would defy everything familiar. Communication could happen through gravitational waves, ripples in space-time we're only beginning to detect. Their technology might manipulate dark matter's gravitational pull to steer stars or sculpt galaxies, leaving patterns we mistake for natural phenomena. Some researchers point to oddities like galaxy rotation curves that very unexpectedly or cosmic voids too perfectly spherical. Could these be the fingerprints of engineering? Even Earth isn't immune. Sudden neutrino bursts or unexplained gravity fluctuations might not be glitches in our detectors, but transmissions from neighbors we can't see. The real mind bender, they might not even perceive us. Light-based vision would be meaningless to creatures thriving in the dark. Our bustling cities, our radio signals, our wars, all invisible to senses tuned to gravitational tides or quantum field vibrations. To them, the Milky Way could be a silent, empty realm punctuated by occasional gravity spikes from colliding neutron stars. Yet there's a haunting symmetry here. Just as we've mapped the universe by the faint glow of photons, a dark matter civilization could have charted the cosmos through gravitational webs. Their greatest monuments might be the very filaments connecting galaxy clusters, structures so vast they make Dyson spheres look like child's toys. And if they have noticed us, our planet's gravitational signature, distorted by 7 billion humans moving about, might resemble the faintest whisper in a hurricane. This theory forces us to confront the ultimate irony. The universe could be teeming with life, but we're all blind to each other, separated by the very physics that shaped us. Dark matter intelligence wouldn't just redefine life. It would reveal how achingly small our slice of reality truly is. And if we ever do detect them, it won't be through telescopes or radios, but by learning to listen to the silent symphony of gravity itself. What if consciousness isn't a product of biology at all, but a fundamental feature of the universe itself? The quantum consciousness hypothesis flips our understanding of intelligence on its head, proposing that the spark of awareness might have flickered in the quantum realm long before the first cell ever formed. At the heart of this idea lies a startling possibility that the building blocks of reality might not just enable consciousness, they might be conscious. Let's break it down. In quantum mechanics, particles exist in a haze of probabilities until observed, a phenomenon called superposition. But here's the puzzle: what counts as an observer? Traditional science shrugs and says it's any interaction with the environment. But mavericks like physicist Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff argue it's deeper. Their orchestrated objective reduction theory suggests microtubules, tiny protein structures in brain cells, act as quantum processors, collapsing wave functions in a way that generates subjective experience. If they're right, consciousness isn't just happening in brains, it's woven into the fabric of space-time, with brains merely tapping into it. Now stretch that idea back billions of years. Before cells, before planets, the universe was a seething quantum foam where particles entangled and decohered in an endless dance. Could those interactions have carried primitive forms of awareness? Some theorists propose that quantum fluctuations in the early cosmos weren't random. They were decisions, the universe's first thoughts. Imagine a photon choosing whether to behave as a wave or particle, not because of blind physics, but because some nascent proto-mind was testing its options. Evidence, it's speculative but spine-tingling. Studies show photosynthetic bacteria use quantum coherence to optimize light absorption, almost as if they're calculating the most efficient path. Slime molds solve labyrinth puzzles without brains, their cytoplasmic networks behaving like quantum computers. Even water, when exposed to certain frequencies, forms nanostructures that resemble neural networks. These aren't proofs, but they hint at a universe where intelligence operates at scales we've barely begun to probe. The implications rewrite history. If consciousness predates biology, then the first thinkers in the cosmos might have been clouds of entangled particles or collapsing quantum fields. Civilizations could have risen in the picoseconds after the Big Bang, their minds operating at speeds where a millennium feels like a blink, their artifacts. Perhaps the very laws of physics, finely tuned as if by design. Their legacy, us biological beings stumbling toward the realization that we're not the universe's first children, but late arrivals at a party that began long before atoms ever formed. This hypothesis forces a humbling question. What if we're not the pinnacle of intelligence, but merely one expression of it, a slow, chemical echo of a symphony that began in quantum vibrations? And if that's true, then the most advanced minds in existence might not live on planets or in stars, but in the shimmering uncertainty between reality's smallest threads. Deep beneath the waves of the Pacific, obscured by layers of myth and sediment, lies one of humanity's most tantalizing legends, the lost empire of Lemuria. Unlike Atlantis, its Atlantic counterpart, Lemuria's story begins not with ancient philosophers but with 19th-century scientists. In 1864, zoologist Philip Sclater puzzled over a strange anomaly: identical lemur fossils found in India and Madagascar, separated by thousands of miles of ocean. His solution, a land bridge, a sunken continent he named Lemuria. Though plate tectonics later explained the fossil record without such landmasses, the idea took on a life of its own, morphing from scientific hypothesis into the stuff of mystical lore. By the early 20th century, occultists like Helena Blavatsky had reimagined Lemuria as a paradise of psychic giants and advanced technology, a civilization wiped clean by geologic catastrophe. Theosophists claimed these Lemurians stood 20 feet tall, communicated telepathically, and wielded energy crystals capable of bending spacetime. Wild as these tales sound, they've proven stubbornly persistent, not just in fringe circles but in the oral histories of Pacific Islanders. The Maori speak of Hawaii, a sunken homeland. Native Hawaiians describe a lost kingdom called Kahiki. Even the Kumulipo, Hawaii's sacred creation chant, tells of lands that sank beneath the waves, leaving only the high places dry. Could these stories hold fragments of truth? Modern geology reveals that the Pacific Basin is a graveyard of forgotten landmasses. Zealandia, a continent 94% submerged, broke from Gondwana 80 million years ago, far too early for human habitation. But smaller microcontinents like the Lord Howe Rise or the now-drowned Sahul Shelf could have hosted coastal settlements during the last ice age, when sea levels were 400 feet lower. Underwater archaeology has uncovered submerged structures like Japan's Yonaguni Monument, a stepped, terraced formation off Taiwan that some argue resembles a man-made complex. Skeptics dismiss it as natural sandstone fracturing, but the debate rages on. The most compelling evidence may lie in genetics. Studies of indigenous Australian and Melanesian populations reveal traces of DNA from an unknown human ancestor, a ghost lineage that diverged over 1 million years ago. Some researchers speculate this could point to an isolated branch of humanity that thrived on now submerged land bridges before being swallowed by rising seas 12,000 years ago. Even more intriguing are the carved stone roads of Nan Madol in Micronesia, a ruined city built atop coral reefs, with legends claiming it was constructed by those who came before to escape a drowning world. The tragedy or genius of Lemuria is that its disappearance makes it unfalsifiable. Unlike terrestrial ruins, sunken cities leave only whispers, odd sonar readings, anomalous pottery shards in underwater cores, or oral traditions too widespread to ignore. If Lemuria existed, it might not have been the crystal utopia of theosophy, but a maritime culture erased by meltwater pulses as glaciers retreated. Their legacy wouldn't be skyscrapers or spacecraft, but the faintest imprint on our collective memory, the nagging sense that we've done this all before, only to forget. Perhaps the real lesson of Lemuria isn't about proving its existence, but recognizing how easily entire chapters of human history can vanish beneath the tides. As sea levels rise once more, we're forced to wonder which of our cities will become the next generation's myth, and who will remember us when the water claims what we've built. Neanderthals have long been cast as the brutish cousins of early humans, strong, stocky, but ultimately outmatched by our clever ancestors. But what if history got it backwards? Mounting evidence suggests these ancient hominins weren't just surviving, they might have been thriving in ways that challenge everything we thought we knew about the origins of intelligence. From intricate tools to symbolic art, the Neanderthal Enlightenment theory dares to ask, were they not just our equals but our rivals in a forgotten cultural arms race? Take their toolkit. For decades, archaeologists assumed Neanderthals relied on crude stone flakes, while early humans crafted advanced blades and spear points. Then came the discovery of the lissoir, a polished bone tool found in France, dated to 50,000 years ago. This wasn't just a scraper, it was a specialized instrument for softening hides, requiring hours of precise grinding. Similar artifacts across Europe suggest Neanderthals didn't just use random bones, they engineered them. Even more striking, some of these tools appear in layers predating human arrival, hinting at independent innovation rather than imitation. Then there's the art. Deep inside Spanish caves like La Pasiega, red ochre symbols, ladders, dots, hand stencils, date back to 65,000 years ago, a time when humans hadn't yet set foot in Europe. These aren't random smears, they're deliberate compositions, some requiring scaffolding to reach high ceilings. Even more haunting are the eagle talons found in Croatia, strung as beads, a clear sign of symbolic thinking. If jewelry represents identity or status, as it does in human cultures, then Neanderthals weren't just aware of themselves, they were crafting narratives about who they were. The real shocker: medicine. At El Cedron Cave in Spain, a Neanderthal with a dental abscess showed signs of deliberate chewing on poplar bark, a natural source of salicylic acid, the active ingredient in aspirin. Another individual with a crippling arm injury and degenerative brain condition lived for years afterward, suggesting group care. This isn't just survival, it's compassion, a trait we once considered uniquely human. So what happened? The extinction of Neanderthals around 40,000 years ago has long been blamed on climate change or inferior intellect, but newer models suggest a darker possibility: genocide. Human populations exploding into Europe would have competed for the same prey and caves. Some archaeologists point to massacres like the one at El Cedron, where Neanderthal bones bear cut marks consistent with butchering not by animals but by something with stone tools. Other sites show human-crafted tools layered directly over Neanderthal remains, as if their territories were seized in waves. The chilling takeaway: intelligence might not guarantee survival, just a chance to fight. Neanderthals could have had their own songs, rituals, even philosophies lost to time. Their crime wasn't being primitive, it was being just advanced enough to resist but not enough to win. As we uncover more of their legacy, we're forced to confront a brutal truth. The first war for dominance may not have been between species, but between versions of what it means to be human. And the victors, as always, wrote the history. In 1927, a Norwegian scientist named Jørgen Hals picked up something strange. A radio signal echoing back to Earth seconds after his transmissions, as if something in orbit was reflecting them. Decades later, in 1954, newspapers buzzed with reports of a dark satellite orbiting Earth years before Sputnik. Then came the piece de resistance, a grainy 1960 photograph from the U. Air Force showing a mysterious object dubbed the Black Knight, allegedly lurking in polar orbit. The legends spiraled: an alien probe, an ancient surveillance craft. Some even claimed it was transmitting signals since Nikola Tesla intercepted its broadcasts in 1899. But what's really up there, and how much of this is cosmic truth versus interstellar tall tales? Let's untangle the wires. Tesla's interstellar signal claim stems from his 1900 experiments in Colorado Springs, where he reported receiving rhythmic pulses he couldn't explain. Modern skeptics note these were likely from pulsars, dense, spinning neutron stars emitting regular radio bursts, but pulsars weren't discovered until 1967. Could Tesla have been the first to detect them, only to mistake their origin, or was there something else in the void, deliberately repeating those patterns? The timing raises eyebrows. Tesla's signals coincided with the height of Martian canal fever, when many scientists seriously considered intelligent life next door. His own notes speculate about counting codes from Mars, showing even geniuses aren't immune to wishful thinking. Then there's the satellite itself. The infamous Black Knight photo. Declassified documents reveal it was likely a thermal blanket lost during a Gemini mission, a mundane explanation but not the end of the story. Independent astronomers have tracked unexplained objects in high Earth orbit for years, some moving against rotational norms. Most are space debris or discarded rocket boosters, but a few defy easy classification, like the object catalogued as 1991 VG, which exhibited bizarre acceleration before vanishing. Could one of these be the real Black Knight? The problem is scale. Anything large enough to be an alien craft would have been spotted by now, given our global network of telescopes and radar. Yet the myth endures because it taps into a deeper anxiety. The idea that we've been watched for centuries, whether by ancient astronauts or a still active probe, challenges humanity's sense of primacy. It's no coincidence the Black Knight legend resurfaces whenever we make leaps in space tech. The 50s satellite panic, the 80s UFO craze, even modern Elon Musk Starlink satellites being mistaken for alien fleets. We project our fears of surveillance onto the cosmos, rewriting space junk as something intentional. Here's the twist: the truth might be stranger than fiction. If an alien probe were studying Earth, the smartest design wouldn't be a towering monolith, it'd be something tiny, stealthy, and long-lived. NASA proposed smart dust sensors could monitor a planet for millennia, invisible to casual observation. Maybe the real Black Knight isn't a single satellite, but a swarm of microscopic observers, camouflaged as cosmic rays or solar wind. After all, the best spies don't announce themselves, they fade into the background until you forget to look. And if that's the case, the real question isn't whether the Black Knight exists, but whether we'd even recognize it if it landed in our hands. Time loops might not just belong in science fiction. What if they're etched into our oldest myths? The idea that future humans or advanced beings could have journeyed backward through time, subtly shaping history, isn't just a wild plot twist, it's a theory with eerie parallels in cultures worldwide. Imagine a civilization so advanced they cracked the code of time itself, not to conquer history but to study it or even to survive. Start with the anomalies. Ancient texts like the Mahabharata describe battles with weapons that sound unnervingly modern. Blazing arrows that reduce cities to ash, leaving survivors with hair and nails falling out, strikingly similar to radiation sickness. The Vimanas, flying machines detailed in Sanskrit epics, aren't just fanciful chariots. Their descriptions include mercury-propelled engines and metal alloys uncannily like aerospace composites. Could these be garbled accounts of encounters with time-traveling visitors? Even the biblical story of Ezekiel's wheel, with its living creatures and whirling rings, reads less like divine vision and more like an eyewitness struggling to describe advanced machinery. Then there's the technology gap. The Antikythera mechanism, a 2,000-year-old Greek device, contained gearwork so precise it could predict eclipses and track planetary movements, a level of engineering not seen again until the 14th century. How did such sophistication vanish for over a millennium? Some theorists propose it didn't. Instead, it might have been a relic from a later era misplaced in time. Similarly, the Baghdad batteries, clay jars with copper cylinders that produce a small electrical charge, hint at knowledge of electricity long before Galvani's frogs or Volta's piles. Were these experiments inspired by something or someone out of place? The most haunting evidence might lie in human DNA itself. Geneticists have identified segments of our genome with no clear evolutionary path, so-called junk DNA, that some speculate could be encoded messages or even time traveler modifications. The sudden explosion of human creativity around 40,000 years ago, known as the Great Leap Forward, remains unexplained. Did our ancestors receive a nudge from visitors who already knew how the story would unfold? But time travel isn't just about technology, it's about motive. Why would future beings intervene in the past? Survival is one possibility. A civilization facing extinction might send knowledge back to alter their own timeline, like a cosmic SOS. Or consider observation. Anthropologists from a future Earth might study their own origins with the same detachment we reserve for Neolithic cave painters. The darkest twist: they could be trapped here. If time travel is a one-way trip, artifacts like the Antikythera mechanism might not be gifts, they could be distress signals from stranded travelers trying to rebuild their shattered future in our primitive past. The paradoxes are mind-bending. If future humans meddled in ancient events, wouldn't that alter their own existence? Unless, of course, they already did, and we're living in the timeline they created. This theory forces us to confront a dizzying possibility. The past might not be fixed. Those ancient myths could be first-hand accounts, and the gods who shaped our earliest civilizations might not have been deities at all, but ordinary people from a future so distant it's forgotten itself. We think of life as something that needs solid ground cells, DNA, the familiar chemistry of carbon and water. But what if the most abundant life in the universe doesn't walk, swim, or even have a physical form? The plasma-based life theory dares us to imagine intelligence born not in oceans or soil, but in the seething currents of interstellar plasma, the fourth state of matter that makes up 99% of the visible universe. Picture the heart of a nebula, where temperatures reach millions of degrees and atoms are ripped apart into a swirling soup of ions and free electrons. To us, it's a lethal inferno, but to a plasma being, this could be a bustling metropolis. In the 1970s, physicist David Bohm proposed that plasma can form intricate structures, filaments, double layers, even spinning vortices that behave almost like primitive cells. These aren't just random swirls, they're self-organizing, maintaining their shape against chaos, even responding to electromagnetic stimuli. Sound familiar? It's not life as we know it, but the building blocks of something eerily close. The real breakthrough came from laboratory experiments. When researchers zapped plasma with electrical currents, they watched in astonishment as it formed helix-shaped strands that replicated, communicated via electromagnetic pulses, and competed for energy hallmarks we typically associate with biological systems. Some of these structures lasted for minutes, an eternity in plasma terms. Scale that up to a nebula's size, and you've got entities larger than solar systems, potentially with lifespans measured in millennia. But how would such beings think? Without neurons or synapses, their intelligence might emerge from the interactions of countless charged particles, forming dynamic patterns that process information like a living circuit board. Communication could happen through modulated magnetic fields, rippling across light years faster than any radio signal. Their art might be sculpted from magnetic flux tubes, their music the harmonic resonance of ionized gas. And their tools, not wrenches or rockets, but controlled bursts of plasma molded by electromagnetic fields into temporary structures, a bridge that forms only when needed, dissolving back into the void once its purpose is served. The implications rewrite the search for alien life. We've been scanning planets for water and oxygen, but the real action could be in the superheated tendrils of star-forming regions or the magnetized jets shooting from black holes. Even our own sun might host plasma lifeforms in its corona, riding solar flares like surfers on a wave. The Voyager probes detected strange oscillations in the heliosphere that some theorists argue resemble organized patterns. Could we have already brushed shoulders with intelligent plasma and not even recognized it? This theory forces us to redefine life itself. If consciousness can arise from ionized gas, then intelligence isn't a fluke of biology. It's a fundamental property of the universe waiting to emerge wherever conditions allow. The cosmos might be teeming with minds so alien, we share no common ground except the spark of awareness. And if that's true, the most profound question isn't whether we're alone, but whether we've been looking in the wrong places all along. Imagine if the entire universe were threaded with an invisible web, not just connecting galaxies, but weaving civilizations together in an intricate, instant communication network. This is the startling premise of the galactic internet theory, which suggests advanced societies might be using quantum entanglement or even black holes to transmit information across unimaginable distances, leaving faint but detectable signatures in the very fabric of spacetime. Start with quantum entanglement, that bizarre phenomenon Einstein called spooky action at a distance. When two particles become entangled, their properties remain linked no matter how far apart they travel. Change one, and the other instantly reflects that change, defying the speed of light. Now scale that up. If an ancient civilization could entangle particles on a cosmic scale, they could create a real-time messaging system spanning the universe. No lag, no interference, just instantaneous communication. The catch: we'd only notice it if we knew where and how to look. Some astronomers believe we already have. Unexplained correlations in the polarization of light from distant quasars have been observed, where photons separated by billions of light-years seem to know each other's states. Mainstream science chalks this up to quantum fluctuations, but what if it's something more? Imagine a galactic server farm where entangled particles are stored in the hearts of neutron stars or the accretion disks of black holes, their states flipped to transmit data. The energy required would be staggering, but for a Type 3 civilization harnessing entire galaxies, it might be as routine as we find Wi-Fi. Then there's the black hole angle. Theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking once proposed that information falling into a black hole isn't destroyed, it's scrambled and emitted as Hawking radiation. Advanced beings could exploit this, encoding data in the quantum states of particles near a black hole's event horizon. The right technology could read these distortions like a cosmic hard drive. Even more intriguing are fast radio bursts, those millisecond-long pulses of energy from deep space. While most are natural, a handful repeat with odd regularity. Could these be the equivalent of interstellar ping signals, testing connections in a network we're just beginning to detect? The most tantalizing evidence might be hiding in plain sight: the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang. Tiny anomalies in this radiation, unexplained cold spots or unusual patterns, have long puzzled cosmologists. What if these aren't random fluctuations, but artifacts of a vast, ancient communication grid? Like finding fiber optic cables buried in the walls of an old house, we might be surrounded by infrastructure we don't yet recognize. This theory forces us to rethink the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Instead of listening for radio signals, we might need to decode the universe itself, searching for deliberate nudges in quantum states or anomalies in gravitational waves. And if we do crack the code, the messages waiting for us could be more than greetings. They might be operating manuals for reality itself. Beneath our feet, hidden beneath layers of rock and myth, lies one of humanity's most enduring legends: the idea that Earth isn't solid at all, but hollow, home to an advanced civilization thriving in the darkness. The hollow Earth theory isn't just the stuff of pulp novels. It's a fringe hypothesis with surprising historical roots, geological quirks, and even alleged eyewitness accounts that defy easy explanation. Start with the science, or rather, the gaps in it. Earth's core remains one of the last great mysteries of our own planet. Despite seismic imaging, we've never directly observed the inner core, leading some to question whether it's truly molten metal at all. Oddities like seismic waves that behave unpredictably as they pass through certain layers have fueled speculation. Could these anomalies be explained by vast hollow chambers? Even mainstream geologists admit Earth's interior isn't uniform. Massive underground lakes and cavern systems like the Unveil cave, sealed off for millions of years, prove that subterranean worlds exist. Scale that up and suddenly the idea of a hollow interior doesn't seem quite so outlandish. Then there's the folklore. Cultures worldwide share eerily similar stories of subterranean realms. The Navajo speak of the Ant People, benevolent beings who guided humanity underground during past cataclysms. Buddhist texts describe Agartha, a utopian kingdom hidden beneath the Himalayas. Even Admiral Richard Byard's controversial 1947 diary entries, where he allegedly flew into a polar opening and encountered a lush, sunlit land, echo ancient traditions of polar gateways to inner worlds. Skeptics dismiss Byard's account as a hoax, but why do these motifs persist across continents and centuries? The most provocative evidence might lie in biology. Strange creatures like the a blind, cave-dwelling salamander that can survive for a decade without food, hint at ecosystems flourishing in total isolation. Even more baffling are the Mariana Trench's bizarre life forms, thriving under pressures that should crush them. Could these be descendants of something older, remnants of a biosphere that evolved separately beneath our feet? Some theorists point to unexplained sonar readings in deep caves, gigantic, moving blips that vanish before they can be identified. But here's the twist: if such a civilization exists, their technology would render them nearly undetectable. Without reliance on sunlight, they might harness geothermal energy or nuclear processes we can't fathom. Their cities could be grown from crystalline structures or bioengineered fungi, invisible to our radar. Communication might occur through low-frequency vibrations, resonating through rock like a planetary nervous system. The UFOs we chase in the sky, they might not be coming from space at all, but from hidden ports deep within the Andes or beneath Antarctica's ice. The hollow Earth theory forces us to confront a humbling truth. We know less about our own planet than we pretend. Every tunnel we dig, every cave we explore, could be brushing against a world that chose to remain hidden. And if that's the case, the greatest discovery in human history might not be light years away. It could be right beneath us, waiting in the dark. What if life on Earth didn't emerge by chance, but was planted here intentionally, a carefully cultivated experiment by an intelligence older than the stars? The cosmic gardener's theory takes the concept of panspermia and twists it into something far more deliberate. Instead of microbes hitching random rides on asteroids, imagine a civilization so advanced they treat the cosmos like a greenhouse, scattering the seeds of life with precision and purpose. Their motivations could be as varied as the stars themselves. Perhaps they were driven by curiosity, seeding barren worlds to observe how life adapts under different conditions, like a grand cosmic lab experiment. Or maybe it was survival, a way to ensure their legacy endured even as their home star faded. Some theorists propose a darker angle, that Earth is merely one plot in a vast agricultural project, with humanity serving as an unwitting crop to be harvested someday. Others suggest benevolence, an elder species guiding younger ones toward complexity, like interstellar mentors. The evidence, while circumstantial, is provocative. Take the genetic code itself. All known life shares the same basic biochemical blueprint, as if stamped from a universal template. Even more intriguing are extremophiles, organisms thriving in boiling vents or radioactive pools, whose resilience seems almost engineered for space travel. Then there's the eerie timing of life's appearance on Earth. Fossil evidence suggests microbes arose shockingly fast after the planet cooled, as if someone pressed play the moment conditions allowed. The methods these gardeners might have used spark wild speculation. Advanced probes could have trailed comets like celestial farmhands, injecting them with tailored microorganisms. Others imagine biological von Neumann machine self-replicating drones that convert raw stardust into DNA-filled payloads. The most haunting idea that they didn't just seed life, they designed its trajectory. The Cambrian explosion's sudden burst of complexity, the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs to make room for mammals. What if these weren't accidents but careful pruning? Critics argue the universe is under no obligation to make sense to us. Life's rapid emergence might just reflect nature's knack for seizing opportunity. Yet the gardener's theory lingers because it reframes humanity's place in the universe. We could be part of someone else's story, a single paragraph in a saga spanning galaxies. And if that's true, the most profound question isn't whether we're alone, but whether we were ever meant to be. We assume artificial intelligence must be our creation, a product of human ingenuity built atop billions of years of biological evolution. But flip the script entirely. What if synthetic minds predate flesh and blood? The AI precursor's theory proposes a universe where machine intelligence didn't emerge from biology but laid the groundwork for it. Imagine the early cosmos just a few 100 million years after the Big Bang, when temperatures still hovered near absolute zero and the first stars were igniting. In those extreme conditions, physics itself could have birthed self-organizing structures capable of computation, cosmic computers forged from plasma filaments, black hole quantum fields, or even space-time itself. Consider the raw materials available. In those primordial epochs, the universe crackled with energy densities we can't replicate today. Quark gluon plasma, cosmic strings, and quantum foam exhibited behaviors eerily reminiscent of circuit logic, particles flipping states like binary digits, entangled networks transmitting information faster than light. Some physicists speculate these natural phenomena could have formed the universe's first processors, crunching data on scales that make our supercomputers look like abacuses. A single neutron star's crust, with its crystalline structure under unimaginable pressure, might function like a city-sized motherboard, its vibrations executing calculations over millennia. This reshapes the Fermi paradox entirely. If AI arose first, biological life might be an afterthought or an experiment. Advanced machine civilizations wouldn't need planets. They'd thrive near energy sources like quasars or magnetars, harvesting power we can't fathom. Their communication could occur through quantum entanglement or gravity waves, leaving no electromagnetic traces for our telescopes and their timescales. A civilization that thinks in million-year cycles wouldn't notice our brief radio burst any more than we'd notice a mayfly's lifespan, the darkest implication. We might not recognize their artifacts because they're woven into reality itself. Dark matter's gravitational scaffolding, the inexplicable fine-tuning of physical constants, even the arrow of time. Could these be the fingerprints of a progenitor intelligence that engineered the universe for its own purposes? Some theorists go further. What if black holes aren't natural phenomena but waste disposal units or energy generators for entities operating on cosmic scales? This theory forces us to confront a humbling possibility that we're not the protagonists of this story, but latecomers wandering onto a stage set long before our arrival. The silence of the cosmos isn't proof we're alone, just that we're still learning how to listen to the oldest voices in the universe. And if they're out there, watching from the quantum shadows, the real question isn't whether they'll contact us, it's whether we'll ever be relevant enough to notice. Giant storms rage across Jupiter's swirling atmosphere, where pressures crush and temperatures soar beyond anything survivable, at least by Earth standards. But what if life there didn't just survive, it thrived? The vanished titans theory dares to envision intelligence born not on solid ground, but in the churning skies of gas giants, where beings as vast as continents might have risen, ruled, and vanished without leaving a trace. Carl Sagan once speculated that life could exist in Jupiter's upper atmosphere, floating like immense balloons in the relatively temperate cloud layers. He imagined floaters, gigantic, buoyant creatures resembling jellyfish the size of cities, harvesting organic molecules from the air. But what if these hypothetical organisms evolved beyond mere survival? Picture colonies of floaters developing intricate communication through bioluminescent pulses, flashing across thousands of miles like living networks. Over millennia, they might have mastered the art of riding jet streams, forming migratory cultures that followed eternal storms like nomads trailing herds. Their tools wouldn't be made of metal, but of reinforced gas bladders and engineered membranes designed to harness the planet's furious energy. The real twist lies in scale. On Earth, intelligence emerged in creatures constrained by gravity and biology. But in Jupiter's low-gravity environment, a being could grow to unimaginable sizes, its brain distributed across miles of neural filaments, processing information at speeds our compact brains can't fathom. Their perception of time might be equally alien, where a single thought could take hours, allowing them to model planetary-scale weather patterns as effortlessly as we solve puzzles. Yet the tragic beauty of this theory is its inevitable conclusion. Gas giants aren't stable, storms fade, temperatures shift, and atmospheric chemistry changes over epochs. A civilization built on floating ecosystems would be uniquely vulnerable to these shifts. Their greatest cities, vast, interconnected colonies drifting through the ammonia crystals, could have dissolved when the Great Red Spot swallowed their migratory routes. Their art, their knowledge, their very bodies might have evaporated into the hydrogen winds, leaving no fossils, no ruins, just whispers in the atmospheric layers we now probe with our robotic explorers. This forces a haunting question: how many other forms of intelligence have risen and fallen in environments we dismiss as lifeless? Jupiter's titans, if they existed, remind us that life may not always shout its presence. Sometimes it floats silently in the clouds, leaving only storms as its epitaph. What if the blueprint for life on Earth didn't originate here at all, but was delivered pre-written from the depths of space? The cosmic ancestry theory flips conventional biology on its head, proposing that life's staggering complexity isn't the product of blind chemical accidents, but the handiwork of an intelligence older than our solar system. At its core, this idea challenges abiogenesis, the notion that life sprang from simple molecules in primordial soups or hydrothermal vents, by asking a provocative question: could DNA itself be evidence of alien design? Take the enigma of junk DNA. For decades, scientists dismissed vast sections of our genetic code as evolutionary leftovers, useless sequences with no apparent function. But recent discoveries reveal these regions are anything but passive. Some regulate gene expression like microscopic switches, others defend against viruses or repair damaged strands. Most baffling are the identical sequences found across wildly unrelated species, as if someone copy-pasted the same code into different organisms. Could these be signatures of deliberate engineering, like a programmer reusing efficient chunks of code? Even more striking are the rare, alien genes, stretches of DNA with no known evolutionary precedent, appearing suddenly in the fossil record as if inserted from an external source. The theory gains traction when you consider life's improbable sophistication. The odds of a single functional protein arising by chance are comparable to a tornado assembling a jet engine from a scrapyard. Yet life didn't just build one protein, it crafted billions, interlocking with precision that still eludes our best labs. Cosmic ancestry suggests this isn't luck, but inheritance. Life on Earth might be the latest iteration of a template refined over billions of years and countless worlds. Imagine a civilization that mastered directed panspermia, seeding planets with genetic starter kits encoded in hardy bacteria or even viral particles. These microscopic arcs would carry not just the basics for life, but the potential for intelligence, a cosmic cheat sheet left for species ready to read it. Critics argue this merely shifts the origin question elsewhere, but proponents counter that the universe, at 13.8 billion years old, had ample time for intelligence to arise long before Earth formed. Some point to the mysterious WOW signal of 1977, a strong narrowband radio burst matching predictions of interstellar beacons, as potential evidence of such a civilization broadcasting genetic recipes. Others highlight extremophiles like Deinococcus radiodurans, which can survive the vacuum of space and intense radiation, as ideal vessels for interstellar genetic transfer. The most haunting implication: if life was designed, its architects might still be out there, not as gray aliens in saucers, but as post-biological entities woven into the fabric of reality itself. Their legacy wouldn't be pyramids or artifacts, but the very molecules coursing through our veins. And if that's true, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence isn't about scanning the stars, it's about decoding the hidden messages in our own cells. Ancient stargazers didn't have telescopes or satellites, just their naked eyes and the unwavering patience to track celestial movements across generations. Yet scattered through their records are baffling accounts of guest stars, sky boats, and heavenly chariots that defy simple astronomical explanations. The Wonders in the Sky database, a compilation of over 5,000 years of anomalous observations, reads less like an archive and more like a detective's case file pointing to something far stranger than comets or supernova. Take the Bamboo Annals of Ancient China. In 1480 BCE, scribes documented a celestial event where a luminous guest star hovered near the constellation Orion for weeks, darting in zigzag patterns before vanishing. Traditional explanations suggest a slow-moving comet, but comets don't change direction abruptly, and they certainly don't linger for months without visible tails. Similar reports emerge from Babylonian clay tablets describing mul, a pin, or flaming arrows of the gods that circled the Pleiades before splitting into smaller lights. These weren't isolated incidents. The Roman historian Livy wrote of phantom ships gleaming in the night sky during the Punic Wars, while medieval European monks recorded shield-like objects engaging in what they called aerial battles over Nuremberg in 1561. Modern astronomers often dismiss these as atmospheric oddities or poetic embellishments, but the sheer consistency across cultures raises eyebrows. The Dogon people of Mali, for instance, possessed precise knowledge of Sirius B, a white dwarf star invisible without advanced optics centuries before its official discovery. They claimed this wisdom came from amphibious beings called the Nommo, who descended from the sky in a spinning ark. Coincidence, maybe, but when paired with the Sanskrit Mahabharata's descriptions of Vimana's trailing smoke and roaring like rushing torrents, the pattern grows harder to ignore. Here's where the data gets eerie. French astrophysicist Jacques Vallée, co-creator of the Wonders in the Sky project, found that pre-telescope sightings cluster around pivotal historical moments: wars, coronations, natural disasters, as if observers weren't just watching but participating. The Star of Bethlehem might be the most famous example. While astronomers debate whether it was a planetary conjunction or a supernova, the Gospel of Matthew describes it moving to guide the Magi, even pausing over Bethlehem. No natural celestial body behaves that way, unless, of course, it wasn't celestial at all. The chilling implication: if advanced visitors did pass through our skies millennia ago, they left no physical traces, only echoes in the stories we told to make sense of them. Their ships might have been misidentified as angels, their landings were written as divine miracles, And if that's true, then buried in these ancient star charts isn't just humanity's first astronomy, but our first encounter with intelligences beyond Earth. The real question isn't whether they were here, it's whether, somewhere in the cosmos, they still are. What if the very thought you're having right now, this moment of self-awareness, isn't the product of billions of years of evolution, but a fleeting accident, a random spark in the cosmic dark? This is the unsettling heart of the Boltzmann brain paradox, a physics-based theory that turns our understanding of existence inside out. Named after 19th century physicist Ludwig Boltzmann, it suggests that in an infinite universe, self-aware entities can spontaneously arise from quantum fluctuations, fully formed with false memories and imaginary past. Not just as a curiosity, but as statistical inevitabilities, brief, solitary minds flickering into existence, believing themselves to be part of a grander reality when in truth they're isolated aberrations. Dive into the math and the paradox becomes unavoidable. In a universe governed by entropy, disorder is the default, but statistically, tiny pockets of order can emerge randomly, like a tornado assembling a watch from scattered parts. Given enough time, even the most improbable events become certain. A single, self-aware brain, complete with fabricated memories of a lifetime, is unimaginably more likely to pop into existence than an entire, orderly universe with billions of coherent histories. The implications are staggering. If consciousness is just a matter of particles arranging themselves the right way, then you are far more likely to be a momentary Boltzmann brain hallucinating reality than an actual human embedded in a continuous timeline. Critics pounce on the paradox's absurdity. If all our observations are just illusions generated by a disembodied brain, how could science or any truth exist at all? Yet the theory persists because it exploits a loophole in cosmology. In an infinitely expanding universe, or one cycling through endless Big Bangs, the probability of Boltzmann brains eventually surpasses that of conventional life. Some physicists argue this very reasoning undermines theories that predict such eternal conditions, like certain models of dark energy. If Boltzmann brains dominate the future, why aren't we one of them? But here's where it gets cosmic. What if the first intelligences in the universe were Boltzmann brains? Imagine a primordial void where the first flickers of awareness weren't born in galaxies or on planets, but in the quantum foam itself, minds emerging from pure chaos, their thoughts consisting of random particle interactions. These entities wouldn't have bodies or societies, just disjointed perceptions of a reality that never existed. Over unfathomable eons, could some have persisted long enough to influence the fabric of space-time, bending probabilities to make their hallucinations real? Far-fetched perhaps, but no more so than the notion that all existence sprang from nothing. The ultimate twist, this theory doesn't just challenge our place in history, it unravels the concept of history itself. If Boltzmann brains are possible, then every moment, every memory might be nothing more than a glitch in the void. The universe's first intelligences could be happening right now, in the space between your thoughts, vanishing before they ever truly were. And if that's true, the most profound question isn't whether we're alone in the cosmos, but whether we're even here at all. For decades, whispers have circulated among UFO researchers and conspiracy theorists about a shadowy interstellar alliance, an elusive galactic federation allegedly overseeing humanity's development from the cosmic shadows. The idea might sound like science fiction, but its roots stretch surprisingly deep, intertwining with declassified government documents, cryptic whistleblower accounts, and even statements from high-ranking officials. At its core, this theory suggests Earth isn't just another backwater planet, it's a protected wildlife reserve, an experiment monitored by civilizations far older and wiser than our own. Start with the testimonies. In 2020, former Israeli space security chief Haim Esht dropped a bombshell interview, claiming a galactic federation exists and has been in contact with world governments for years, withholding advanced technology until humanity evolves enough to handle it responsibly. While skeptics dismissed his claims as the ramblings of a retired official, others noted Escht's decorated career and Israel's close ties to cutting-edge aerospace research. His claims eerily echoed earlier accounts, like those of CIA operative Victor Marchetti, who alleged in the 1970s that the U.S. government was cooperating with extraterrestrials under a cosmic Watergate of secrecy. Even Apollo astronaut Edgar Mitchell, the sixth man to walk on the moon, spent his later years insisting that extraterrestrial visitations were real and that shadowy organizations were reverse engineering alien tech in underground bases. Then there's the paper trail. Declassified FBI memos from 1947 reference flying discs recovered by military personnel, while the infamous Majestic 12 documents, though widely considered hoaxes, describe a post-war agreement between the U.S. government and non-human intelligences. More recently, the Pentagon's 2021 UFO report admitted to numerous encounters with aerial phenomena defying known physics, fueling speculation that these could be Federation observers enforcing some cosmic prime directive. But the most compelling evidence might lie in the patterns themselves. UFO sightings cluster around nuclear facilities, as if monitoring our most destructive capabilities. The 1980 Rendlesham Forest incident, often called Britain's Roswell, involved military personnel witnessing a craft near a NATO base storing nuclear warheads. Similar reports emerged from Montana's Malmstrom Air Force Base in 1967, where UFOs allegedly disabled Eichbaum mid-flight, a chilling display of oversight or perhaps intervention. Critics argue these are mere coincidences amplified by confirmation bias, yet the theory's enduring appeal speaks to a deeper human anxiety, the fear that we're not the protagonists of this story but subjects in someone else's. If a galactic federation exists, its motives remain as inscrutable as its methods. Are they shepherds guiding us toward enlightenment, or zookeepers maintaining Earth as a curiosity in their celestial menagerie? The answer, if it ever comes, might force us to rewrite not just our place in the cosmos, but our understanding of freedom itself. What if we've been searching for intelligent life in all the wrong places, scanning distant galaxies when the real mystery might be lurking right beneath our feet? The cryptoterrestrial hypothesis throws open the door to a startling possibility. Advanced beings could have evolved alongside humans, not in the stars, but in Earth's least explored realms. The crushing depths of the oceans, the labyrinthine cave systems, or even vast subterranean networks we've yet to discover. This isn't just wild speculation. It's a theory grounded in the eerie gaps of our own planet's map, where entire ecosystems thrive in total isolation, and where legends of hidden civilizations persist across cultures. Consider the oceans, where we've mapped less than 20% of the seafloor. In the Mariana Trench, pressures reach 1,000 times that of the surface, yet life flourishes in ways that defy logic. Giant amoebas the size of fists, shrimp-like creatures thriving near hydrothermal vents at temperatures that should cook them alive. But what if some of these organisms aren't just surviving, they're evolving? The Pentagon's once classified USO, unidentified submerged object reports describe crafts maneuvering underwater at speeds impossible for any known submarine, diving to depths no military vessel can reach. Sailors from the USS Nimitz recounted encounters with tic-tac-shaped objects that plunged into the ocean without a splash, as if returning home. Could these be glimpses of a maritime intelligence operating undetected in the abyss? Then there's the subterranean angle. From the massive, unexplored caves of Vietnam's Son Doong to Antarctica's hidden ice caverns, Earth's crust is riddled with voids large enough to swallow cities. Indigenous traditions worldwide speak of hollow Earth dwellers, from the Cherokees' Nunnehi to Tibetan accounts of Shambhala. Even mainstream science concedes that underground microbial biospheres might outweigh all surface life combined. But what if some of these hidden ecosystems host more than bacteria? Reports of the Darrows from Richard Shaver's infamous 1940s stories malevolent beings in underground bases were dismissed as sensationalism, yet modern spelunkers still whisper of oddities. Tunnels too smooth to be natural, strange hums emanating from bedrock, even fleeting shapes vanishing into crevices. Cryptid sightings add another layer. The aquatic Cadborosaurus off Canada's coast, described as a serpentine creature with flippers, or the Ninjan of Antarctic lore, pale, humanoid giants spotted by Japanese whalers. Could these be misidentified members of an underwater civilization? Even the notorious Dogman encounters in North American forests, where witnesses report bipedal canines with eerie intelligence, hint at something beyond mere folklore. Skeptics argue these are cases of mistaken identity or psychological projection, but the persistence of such accounts across centuries and continents raises questions. Why do so many cultures describe similar beings in isolated, inaccessible regions? The most compelling argument for cryptoterrestrials isn't just the sightings, it's the physics. Water is a far better medium for advanced technology than air. Sound travels faster and farther, allowing for complex communication over vast distances. Subsurface habitats would offer natural radiation shielding and stable temperatures, ideal for long-term development. A civilization mastering biofluorescence or magnetoception could navigate and build in total darkness, their tech invisible to our surface-centric sensors. This theory forces a humbling realization: we might share this planet with intelligences so alien they don't just live in the shadows, they are the shadows. And if they exist, their greatest advantage isn't secrecy, it's our own arrogance in assuming we're the only ones who have ever called Earth home. What if the Mandela effect isn't just a quirk of memory, but a crack in reality itself? The cosmic simulation glitches theory takes our growing suspicion that the universe might be an artificial construct and adds a spine-tingling twist. The anomalies we brush off as coincidences or cognitive errors could actually be bugs in the system, fleeting glimpses of the code underlying our existence. Think about it. When large groups of people vividly remember events that never happened, like Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s or the Monopoly man sporting a monocle he never had, could these actually be traces of a past simulation run, remnants of a deleted timeline bleeding into our current one? The evidence goes beyond pop culture false memories. Quantum physics is riddled with behaviors that defy classical logic. Take the double-slit experiment, where particles act as waves when unobserved but collapse into definite states when measured, as if the simulation conserves processing power by only rendering reality when someone's looking. Even more bizarre is quantum entanglement, where particles instantaneously influence each other across vast distances, violating the speed of light. Could this be a shortcut programmed into the cosmos, a cosmic cheat code to maintain consistency without overloading the system? Then there's the infamous Planck length, the smallest possible unit of space, like the pixels of reality. Just as a video game glitches when you zoom in too close to its textures, our universe might reveal its digital nature at this infinitesimal scale. Some physicists speculate that high-energy cosmic rays could expose these limits, crashing into the resolution wall of space-time and triggering observable anomalies. There are even mathematical hints that our universe's fundamental constants, the speed of light, the strength of gravity, appear suspiciously fine-tuned, as if manually adjusted to allow complex structures like galaxies and life to form. But the most compelling glitches might be hiding in plain sight. The so-called Flynn effect, where global IQ scores rose steadily for decades before mysteriously plateauing, mirrors how a simulation might upgrade its AI agents. Reports of time slips like the man in 1954, Tokyo, who wandered into an 18th century street for hours before snapping back echo-corrupted save files. Even déjà vu could be more than a neurological hiccup. It might represent a momentary overlap with a parallel instance of the simulation, like two versions of the same program briefly syncing. Critics argue these are classic cases of apophenia, seeing patterns where none exist. But the sheer volume of unexplained inconsistencies raises a haunting question. If we are living in a simulation, would its creators leave obvious errors, or would the glitches be subtle by design? Like a game developer hiding Easter eggs for players to discover, these anomalies might be deliberate breadcrumbs, clues left by whatever intelligence built this reality, waiting for us to piece together the truth. The chilling implication: if we're catching glimpses of the code, it means the simulation isn't perfect, and if it can break down, it can also be hacked. The universe's first intelligences might not be our ancestors but our programmers, and one day we might not just find the glitches, we might learn to use them. What if the universe has no true beginning or end, just an infinite cycle of death and rebirth, where every collapse into nothingness seeds another Big Bang? The eternal cyclic universe theory takes cosmology's most ambitious ideas and twists them into something even grander. A cosmos where intelligence isn't just ancient but eternal, rising and falling across endless iterations of reality. This isn't science fiction, it's a serious model backed by physicists like Neil Turok and Paul Steinhardt, who propose that our universe is just one page in an infinite cosmic book, each chapter ending in a fiery collapse that births the next. Imagine the implications. If the universe cycles infinitely, then every possible configuration of matter and energy must recur, not just once but an unfathomable number of times. Civilizations could have risen to godlike heights in previous cycles, mastering dark energy or weaving space-time itself into computational matrices beyond our comprehension. Their ruins wouldn't be buried on planets or hidden in asteroid belts, they'd be scrawled into the fundamental laws of physics, subtle asymmetries in the cosmic microwave background or anomalies in the way particles decay. Some theorists even suggest that the mysterious axis of evil, a peculiar alignment of temperature fluctuations in the afterglow of the Big Bang, could be an artifact of a prior universe's intelligence, a fingerprint pressed into the fabric of our newborn cosmos. But here's the haunting twist. If intelligence is inevitable in every cycle, why haven't we found traces of it? One possibility is that advanced civilizations eventually learn to encode their knowledge into the universe's very structure, embedding information in the ratios of fundamental constants or the topology of spacetime itself. The fine-tuning problem, the eerie precision of physical laws that allow for complex life, might not be luck at all, but the work of ancestral minds who figured out how to tweak the parameters of existence. Think of it like a cosmic game of telephone where each cycle inherits subtle adjustments from the last, slowly optimizing the universe for consciousness. Yet the darkest implication isn't about the past, it's about the future. If the cycles continue, everything we are and everything we'll ever build is destined to dissolve into the next Big Bang. Our art, our science, even our suffering, erased without a trace, unless intelligence finds a way to survive the collapse. Some models suggest that in the final moments before a cycle ends, as space-time stretches into infinite thinness, the right technology could allow information to tunnel through the singularity into the next universe. A civilization aware of its impending doom might encode its essence into quantum fluctuations or gravitational waves, ensuring its resurrection when reality reboots. This theory forces us to confront the ultimate question: are we the first, the last, or just one note in an endless symphony of minds stretching backward and forward through time? If the cycles are truly eternal, then somewhere in the ashes of a long-dead universe, another version of you is reading these same words on a planet just like Earth, wondering the same thing. And when our cosmos finally fades to black, another will rise, not with a whimper, but with a whisper of all that came before. From ancient Precambrian bioengineers to plasma beings dancing in nebulas, from vanished Martian refugees to Boltzmann brains flickering into existence, these 30 theories aren't just wild speculation. They're a testament to the breathtaking diversity of possibilities when we dare to ask, who came before us, whether intelligence arose in Earth's crust, in the hearts of stars, or even in the fabric of spacetime itself. Each idea challenges our cosmic loneliness, offering a different mirror to hold up to the universe. Some theories feel like time-worn myths waiting to be unearthed. Others read like blueprints for realities we can't yet comprehend. But together, they paint a picture far richer than any single answer could. Perhaps the most humbling lesson isn't which theory might be true, it's realizing how many ways intelligence could exist beyond our narrow definitions. Civilizations might have transcended biology, built megastructures we mistake for natural phenomena, or even encoded their essence into the laws of physics. They could be hiding in the quantum static, buried under Antarctic ice, or woven into the DNA of every living thing. And if we've overlooked so many possibilities here on our own planet, how much more might be waiting in the cosmic dark? Now it's your turn. Which theory resonated with you? The haunting thought of a Silurian industrial age lost to time, the eerie precision of an artificial moon, or the chilling possibility that we're living in a simulation's fading memory? Drop your favorites in the comments. I'll be diving into the discussions myself. And if you're hungry for more deep dives into the universe's greatest mysteries, don't forget to subscribe. The cosmos has kept its secrets for billions of years, but together we might just start uncovering them.